Let's talk about forgiveness, why it's important, why it is so hard, and what we can do when we feel like we just can't forgive. In today's video, I'm going to talk about why people struggle, the scripture on forgiveness, what we can do to forgive others, and my personal testimony of forgiving others when I just couldn't. So firstly, I think we've all had a moment in our lives that required us to forgive someone, whether it was something small or really big. The problem comes in when it's something big that requires forgiveness where you just feel too hurt, wronged, or angry to do it. There is enough scripture on it to know that it's important, but the reason forgiveness is important is because it releases that person and the problem to the Lord to take care of it for us. When we refuse to forgive someone, we're holding on to them and the issue through our hurt and anger. When we refuse to let go of something, we're telling God that we want to deal with it ourselves, and God does not share His glory with people. What I mean is that if God dealt with every problem while people held on to it trying to fix it or to be the one doing something about it, they could take credit for the solution. But God waits until we release our issues to Him and trust Him to deal with it before He takes action. Forgiveness is a way to release the issue to God. God is just, and He won't let us stay wronged forever. And whether we get to see the result of that justice or not, because many times we don't see what happened with it, we should remember that God will always take care of what hurt us better than we could ourselves. This will also bring us closer to healing from it. Another thing to remember is that the process of forgiving can be just as painful as what required forgiveness in the first place. And because of that, it can be impossible to do it ourselves sometimes. So first, I'll go through the scripture on forgiveness, and then talk about what we can do to forgive in an impossible situation, along with my own testimony. Matthew 5, verse 7. Blessed are the merciful, for they shall obtain mercy. Matthew 6, verse 15. But if you forgive not men their trespasses, neither will your Father forgive your trespasses. Hebrews 8, verse 12. For I will be merciful to their unrighteousness, and their sins and their iniquities will I remember no more. Isaiah 43, verse 25. I, even I, am he that blotteth out thy transgressions for mine own sake, and will not remember thy sins. Mark 11, verse 25. And when ye stand praying, forgive, if ye have aught against any, that your Father also which is in heaven may forgive you your trespasses. Psalms 32, verse 1. Blessed is he whose transgression is forgiven, whose sin is covered. Luke 6, verse 37. Judge not, and ye shall not be judged. Condemn not, and ye shall not be condemned. Forgive, and ye shall be forgiven. And finally, Colossians 3, verse 12 to 13. Put on therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved, bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long-suffering, forbearing one another, and forgiving one another. If any man have a quarrel against any, even as Christ forgave you, so also do ye. In these scriptures, we can see pretty clearly that we need to forgive other people when we have issues, or any anger or any hurt because of them. And it's not only for our own good, but it's also for their good. We can open our Father in Heaven's blessing towards us, and we can allow Him to forgive us too. Why should the Father forgive us when we can't even forgive others? Most of the time, if not all the time, what we need to forgive others for is far less than what our Father in Heaven has to forgive us for. So it's the least that we can do. But I do want to encourage you today that you're not alone in your pain, and many people have been deeply hurt where they just can't bring themselves to forgive the others who hurt them or caused issues for them. But just know this: forgiveness doesn't mean that what that person did was okay. It just means that you're releasing your hold on the issue to God to deal with. And that includes releasing your anger and hatred too. For myself, and likely others too, when I could not bring myself to forgive the person who caused deep pain in my life, I had to pray to God to give me the strength and ability to do it. I had to pray many times over the course of weeks that turned into months for God to help me to forgive. So if you just can't do it yourself, you can pray to God for the strength and the ability to forgive, to change your thinking and feeling about the situation, and over time to bring you to a point in your life where you can. Now for my testimony. I was in a position where I spent about 2 years in close proximity with a person who at the time caused such destruction in my life against my will, and I harbored terrible feelings towards them. The level of pain and destruction in my life changed my health, my ability to focus or sleep, and it damaged my relationships with close friends and family. It was the kind of scar that I just couldn't forgive. At the time of asking God to help me forgive, since I couldn't do it myself, I didn't even want to do it, I prayed that I would want to forgive them and be able to forget the pain. That's all I could do at the time. Over the course of weeks and months of asking for help on it, God slowly brought me to a place of peace where I could separate my feelings from the events, and to a place where I had the will to want to forgive and let go of the anger. Because at that time, the peace I felt from God was a lot better than the constant anger and guilt of not forgiving. Finally, after about a year of going through this process with the Lord, I was able to forgive the other person, and I experienced a level of comfort and freedom that I had forgotten about ever having. The main takeaway from this is that forgiveness is necessary to move forward with God, and when you physically can't do it, you can pray to God for help with forgiving. It can be quick, but it could also take years. But just keep praying, and the Lord will help you. He will set you free.